Welcome to the second edition of the Fulton Ambassador Coffee Chats. My name is Nina and I'm the staff advisor for our Fulton Ambassadors. Joining me today are three of our outstanding female Fulton Ambassadors because our chat is going to focus on what it means to be a woman in engineering so that we can usher in Women's History Month. So I'm going to turn it over to Rachel to introduce herself, and then we'll hear from our others and just jump right in.
Hi, my name is Rachel Shantz, and I'm a senior in the Air Traffic Management program on ASU's Polytechnic campus. And I'm also enrolled in the Accelerated 4+1 program, where I'm studying aviation management and human factors.
Oh, cool. Hi, I'm Allison. I'm also a senior, but I am studying biomedical engineering. And then I also have a minor in engineering management. Both of those programs are on our Tempe campus. And then I'm also in the 4+1 accelerated master's program. So I'll be getting my master's in biomedical engineering.
Hi, my name is Brenda Villa. I am also a senior studying chemical engineering with a minor in business. I am at the Tempe campus and I am from Yuma, Arizona.
So as you can see, we have three wonderfully accomplished students with us on our coffee chat today. And so really the purpose is just to uncover more about what it means to be a woman in engineering and technology. So as we know, women are generally underrepresented in these disciplines. And so hearing from our current Fulton students what it means to be a woman in engineering and technology will hopefully inspire our prospective students to consider these paths in the future. So I'm going to open it up with this general question to our students, our current Fulton Ambassadors. What does it mean to you to be a woman in engineering and technology?
To me, Nina, I think being a woman in engineering and technology, and for me specifically being a woman in aviation, it's a really special opportunity for me to thank the women who came before me, but also serve as a leader for the women who will come after me. I'm extremely passionate about diversifying the aviation industry in particular, and something that I notice often is that I'm very frequently the only one in the room. And it's very interesting because it's like I can acknowledge how grateful I am to be the person in the room, to be the only woman in the room, but also thinking how I want to change that and how I want to be possibly an inspiration for girls who can come after me. So that's, to me, that's what it means, is that it's just a wonderful, wonderful opportunity, like I said, to be grateful for the women before me and to serve as an example for the women who may come after me.
Definitely. I totally agree with being kind of a role model. I think kind of being able to be that person that young women can look up to in the future and kind of see themselves where we are today. But I will say that, I mean, being biomedical, there is a lot more females in that major. So I'm definitely really lucky with that. And also a lot of my faculty are women as well. So being able to use them as my role models. So I kind of have that person of who I want to be for other future leaders and women in engineering as well. Definitely lucky that ASU has so many different females in the engineering program here.
I think that's a really good point to bring up about ASU in general, is that ASU does have a considerable female student population, specifically when we're talking about the Fulton Schools of Engineering, as well as faculty. So while largely represented, women are in fact minorities in engineering and technology fields, ASU is starting to break that kind of perception. And so that's a really good point to bring up, Allie. I'm glad that you mentioned that.
What I really like about being in engineering and technology is that just by being part of this engineering community, we're already changing the world. We're already changing history. We're letting other women or younger women know that they can also do it. We're setting the example that it's not just because we used to tend to think that engineering was just for men, but it's not like that. What I also like about being in engineering, especially at ASU, is that there is equal opportunities for both genders. There's really no exclusions when it comes to applying for different things that you want to be enrolled in, like research, working together with faculty. All the faculty and the resources will be offered to you equally, no matter if you're a woman or a man. I've never felt excluded ever since I got here to ASU. And coming from being a first generation student, that was kind of like something that I was scared of, thinking that I could have gone on a different path because I was scared of what engineering would look like. But it has definitely been the best choice I've taken in my life.
So I'm going to pose another question to you. What challenges have you faced, particularly being a female in engineering and technology fields, and how have you overcome them?
I can start this one out. So I think challenges for me, I've kind of always been a go-getter, I guess I could say. So I kind of knew I wanted to pick something that was going to be challenging. I didn't necessarily really care on what the perception was, but I do think coming to college in general and kind of having predominantly male classes, especially in physics and things like that, really kind of bursting out of my shell and understanding that everybody is equal here. It doesn't matter if you're a male, if you're a female, it doesn't make a difference. So, I mean, now my best friend is a guy and he's in BME too. So being able to kind of form those connections regardless of whether we're male or female, and kind of for them being able to recognize that we are equally, if not more, intelligent or smart in some of those classes. So really just bringing us all together to be one in one big community.
Yeah, I definitely agree with what both Brenda and Ali have mentioned about ASU never making me feel like I'm out of place. I do find it interesting. I wouldn't necessarily call it a struggle, but I find it interesting whenever somebody asks what I'm studying and I say air traffic management, and I always get, oh, like nobody ever expects me to say that. And on the one hand, it is a very niche concentration, and I understand that you don't expect really anybody to say that as their answer, but still, I'm very used to surprise or shock. And I kind of feel that sometimes, you know, when I will enter a space and it's like, I'm the only woman here, very unapologetic about it. I am typically in, you know, something very feminine in pink pants or in a dress or something like that. And it is off-putting for a lot of people, I think, that here I am in an extremely technical field, and I look like this, and I am very loud, and I don't, like I said, I'm very unapologetic about who I am. And so the biggest thing for me is, as I mentioned before, I'm very used to being one of two or one of one in my classes. And that's nothing against ASU. It's just that it's very, very small numbers for women in these programs in aviation, particularly air traffic management. So again, at no fault of ASU, and we have wonderful female faculty members in the aviation department as well. One of my favorite professors, Kathy Wallmuller, she was a TRACON, so she worked in radar and air traffic control for like 17 years, and she is wonderful and so supportive. And I can kind of tell, she's never said it to me, but I can kind of tell that like she and I are the same, if that makes sense. There's like definitely that connection that we have together, I think, as women in this world together. And so I don't know, I got off on a tangent for sure there, but the point being, I am used to being sort of out of place, whether that's my perception that I'm out of place or how I feel that I'm being perceived out of place. But I think the way that I've kind of gotten past that is just remembering who I am and why I'm here. And like I said before, the biggest thing for me is that if there's like one girl out there who sees this and sees one of the three of us and thinks, oh, that's so cool, I could do that, you absolutely can do this. So that's my big thing.
I think you brought up some really excellent points. Now, Brenda, I think you said you wanted to chime in on this one too.
Yeah, I think the only struggle I've had is breaking the stereotype that only certain people can do engineering. Like Rachel mentioned, when we get asked, oh, what's your major or what are you studying? And I believe people are expecting us to say, oh, we're in a different major. But when you say engineering, for me, like saying chemical engineering, I always get the, oh, that's a really tough major. But at first I would see it as, oh, like it must be a really hard major, like can I really do it? This was back in like early my freshman year, but now I take it as an opportunity for me to share my experience and saying, yes, it is a difficult major, but if I could do it, you can do it, anyone can do it. So basically like setting the example that any major is difficult, you're going to struggle, but if it's something that you're truly passionate about, you can accomplish it.
I think that's a really wonderful message to send to anyone out there happening to watch this. Now, I kind of want to pick up on that point a little bit about support, because all of you have mentioned that it is challenging and there are always going to be challenges regardless of who you are. So do you want to speak a little bit from the student's perspective about what ASU has to offer and what the Fulton schools have to offer as far as supporting our students, regardless of where they're at or their kind of coming in abilities?
Who wants to take it? I can start. I just think I'm from a very small town out of state in Wisconsin. So definitely coming to ASU, I was really intimidated. It's a very large school, but never once have I felt like there was never somebody that I could really turn to. I always, some advice that I guess I could give right now is to make friends in your major and find a study group. And I don't know, maybe go out. We used to go out every Tuesday and Thursday and get dinner after our late class, and find something fun for you guys to do outside of the classroom and kind of build those relationships, because without them, I truly don't think I would have made it this far. I mean, now I look back and I'm just like, I don't really know how I'm 3.5 years into this major. It's really crazy. But build that support network within your major, and you guys can go and you can study in Noble all night if you need to, and crank out those assignments, because it definitely does take a village sometimes, especially coming to college in general. And even today, I go in person for one of my courses, and my professor kind of just sat down and she's like, "So how are you doing?" And I think that's really neat, that professors, you're able to make that one-on-one relationship, and they really do care how you're doing amidst all of these circumstances. And even just getting involved in all the different organizations, I feel like ASU is really like 50 people, because I see the same people all the time. And you might think they're following you. I don't really know, but it's really crazy how all of these organizations and different opportunities you could have really make this large university seem really small. So I'm definitely thankful that I took the leap of faith to come to ASU, even though it seems really intimidating, and really have met people that now I know will be in my life forever. So it's really cool.
I kind of had a similar situation as Allison. Come from a high school that my class was 50 students, and coming to ASU and being introduced to larger classrooms. I think my chemistry 1 class was the same size as the total population in my high school. So that was kind of intimidating at first, but then realizing that there's so many resources for you to connect with your peers, connect with other classmates, connect with your professors, teaching assistants. Those opportunities are there for you to take them. I've had situations where I'm doing really well in the class, and then for some reason I don't do as well in one of the exams, and professors will email you asking, like, do you need additional support? Like, come to my office hours. I really like the example of like my experience in my sophomore year when I was struggling in organic chemistry, and I reached out to my professor and I said, I'm struggling, like, what can I do? He said, just come to my office hours and I'll help you succeed in future assignments, making sure you're understanding the material. They'll follow up. They'll ask you have any more questions. Like, I know this was a difficult topic. Another good example is my junior year, one of my professors that I actually did research with, I told her, like, I'm struggling, like, I don't understand what's going on in the class. She met with me on a Saturday at the library on campus for like 6 hours from 9 a.m. to like 2 p.m. And she was just going on one-on-one with me on how to be successful. She gave me study tips. And then the following year, just because we built that connection, I reach out to her and I say, hey, like, I'm really interested in the kind of research that you're doing. I ended up doing research with her through theory, through WASO. And after my project was over, she reached out and she said, like, I want to make sure you're doing okay. Like, if you want more opportunities, just let me know. If you want to go to graduate school, let me know. We can get you funded. So there's plenty of opportunities for support and success more than anything.
Yeah, I don't want to say what you said over and over and over again. The faculty at ASU, though, I will say, they just really care. I have, obviously, this is the only real experience at a higher education institution that I've ever been to, but at the same time, I do know that that's something that ASU offers. It's very unique, is that all of our professors here really want you to succeed. And in my personal experience, all of the professors are retired from industry. They have really no reason to be here other than they want to teach. They really, really, really want to train the next generation of engineers, of air traffic controllers, of pilots, and so on and so forth. And I think that that is highly, highly valuable. But beyond that, in the same vein, but a little bit differently, the on-campus job opportunities are huge. I know it's a support in a different way, but because finances are very important to, I'm sure, all of us, what's really, really awesome about working on campus in an ASU position is that your boss knows that your schooling comes first. And that's, I think, also very valuable as a support system, to know that you can work part-time, you can get work experience, you can build those hours, get a paycheck, all of those big, big adult new responsibilities, while still knowing that your boss cares about you. They're going to bat for you, and they're going to make sure that you understand that you're respected and that your degree is respected and that your time is valuable. And this is absolutely a promo for Nina because she is my boss. So I am flattering her, but I'm being honest as well, is that I think that's incredibly important too. If you're considering getting a job when you're on campus, is knowing that you kind of have a friend as your boss at the same time.
Thank you, Rachel. All right, so we're going to end this with just some parting pieces of advice. So for all of our audience out there, whether you're watching right as we release this on the website or months down the line, our students that are on the call today, they've lived through I think most of you, 4 years at ASU and the Fulton schools. And so we're going to kind of leave with this parting piece of advice. So what could you, our wonderful female Fulton ambassadors, give as advice to our prospective students out there? Rachel, I'm going to pick on you first.
It's funny because I was thinking of something to say just now. My biggest piece of advice, and this is for girls of all ages, but also I think this just goes for everyone. If you are interested in doing something and you've never seen somebody who looks like you do that thing, do it anyway. That's, I think, the biggest thing, like for me, is you don't see a lot of women pilots. You don't see a lot of Black pilots. It's just not what we're used to seeing, but that doesn't mean that you can't be the first. That's my big thing, is that if you want to do something, be the first. Why not? Shatter that glass ceiling, you do that. So those are my parting words, is if you want to do something and you think that you can't, you're wrong, because you absolutely can.
I'm sitting here trying to collect all of my thoughts into how I could somehow combine 3 of them into one. But I think my best piece of advice would be, when obviously the first couple of years, it might be really tough as any engineering major to kind of even wonder why you are putting yourself through this hard discipline when you're in these courses that may seem like they have no effect on what you want to do in the future. To just kind of sit back and think what you decided to do this for, and what your initial intention was of why you wanted to be an engineer and why you want to do what you want to do in the first place. I know if I didn't have that mindset, I never would have made it through physics. I'm sure, they all know, they've heard me talk about physics all the time, and it just wasn't the greatest time. But when I think about what I'm able to do now as a soon-to-be graduate, I'm thankful for that, but also I do kind of miss it. So enjoy the moment, but also remember in the future the impact that you're going to have, because that's definitely going to help get you through all of those hard times.
My advice is going to sound very basic, but it's basically my motivation every day. It's never stop trying. I've struggled. I don't know if I mentioned, but this is my 5th year at ASU, being a senior. Well, no. This is my 5th year, but I'm a senior now. The reason for that is because I struggled with one of my classes, and I had to retake it, but I just never gave up. I told myself, like, if other students could do it, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it for myself. I'm gonna make it through, and I'm gonna keep fighting. This is something that I really want to do. I really want to have my major. I really want to be a chemical engineer, and I'm gonna get there. It doesn't matter how long it's gonna take. I'm gonna get there. And that's a piece of advice I give you. It doesn't matter how long it takes. If that's something that you're truly passionate about, that's something that you truly want, just keep trying. You're gonna get there at one point. Yes, it's a 4-year path that you have to take, but if it takes longer, if it takes less amount of time, it's totally fine. It's your career, it's your goals. You decide when you want to accomplish them.
We couldn't say it any better than that. So with this, thank you so much for spending the time and watching our coffee chat today. As a reminder, to stay tuned to the Fulton Ambassador website for our monthly other coffee chats, where we explore other topics like choosing a major, how to manage financial aid, the support that the Fulton schools have to offer our students. So much more to come in the coming months, but thank you so much for joining us.